How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Flesh and Blood video here on Red Zone Rogue, the very first official video in my brand new studio. I'm really excited to have this all set up and to resume making content for y'all. Today's video is brought to you by FAB the premier Flesh and Blood deck building and database website. Check them out in the description down below. And while you're at it, maybe check out all of the affiliates I have down there, or all of the affiliate links. I have one with Channel Fireball and some other smaller stores like Red Riot Games and Fab Foundry. All of them highly recommended from me, all excellent folks. Or if you'd like to support me directly, check out my Patreon. There I have some tiers where I kind of give cards back to you, or if you just wanted to support me and support what I do and my passion for card games. So the topic of today is actually Crucible of War. So I recently made a video for Channel Fireball doing kind of like a retrospective on Crucible of War. And while I was thinking about it and while I was making the video, I realized and I remembered that people hated Crucible of War when it first came out. And when I say people, I don't mean everyone hated Crucible of War, obviously. I mean, I loved Crucible of War, and there was a strong contingent of people who saw the value in the set and thought it was awesome. But, I've heard firsthand accounts that it was really hard to sell at release. Even at like that MAP pricing, that 80 bucks a box or 70 bucks, whatever the map pricing is, people had a hard time selling it, which is hilarious to think about right now, especially considering the prices of Crucible of War booster boxes. And it's just a very interesting thing and a very interesting turn of events, how things evolve, how people can be really, really negative on something, and then once that gets some leverage and once it gains some, traction, people completely forget that they're pissed off about the set, and everyone's like, Poggy, Crucible of War is awesome. That in itself is something that I personally find very interesting and something that we should think about going forward into more Flesh and Blood sets. We have Monarch right around the corner. Later this year, we have Kingdoms, and we have more stuff coming out next year, and I bet one of those sets is going to be a supplementary set just like Crucible of War. And man, I'm going to be looking out. I'm going to see if people are that negative. Because, oh man, I remember people complaining about everything. People complained that, there was like too many classes in the set. People complained that there were too few cards in the booster packs. People complained about there being tokens in the packs. People complained about everything. Foil tokens. Why do we need foil tokens? Look at what's all this garbage? Why do we need, this few legendaries? Shouldn't there be more legendaries? Like, people complained about everything. That's kind of the nature of the internet and people in general, to be honest. People just like to complain about stuff. But it's one of those things where as I get older, I just get sick of people complaining about everything, man. It just wears on me. I get sick of people complaining, and it's something that I take notice of. So like I took notice of this, and as the set has recently gained popularity, I just find it very, very funny. In case you didn't know, Crucible of War is a supplementary set. It's actually a much smaller set with fewer cards. They also reduced the pack size. So booster packs normally have 15 cards in it. Crucible of War packs only have 10. And people complain about that, man. People are complaining about having less cards. And I kind of get that. I kind of get it if you're the kind of player who only buys like one box of cards. I totally get it. But if you buy a lot, then you just end up with a ton of bulk, and having less cards per pack means you get more desirable cards, or just fewer bulk, basically fewer bulk. You don't actually get more desirable cards, because we'll talk about that in a second, because they did put some reprints in the set that are reprints of heroes and weapons that were tokens that were no longer tokens. And that one's kind of is an interesting thing. I think they did that because they wanted it to be a supplementary set. So if you really haven't bought into Arcane Rising very much, then you could pull a Viserai or something like that in Crucible of War. They wanted to make it like more encompassing, because they easily could have just like not had those cards in the set, but it made it feel more like a little treasure trove, right? When you open up a booster pack and you can pull like some cool weapons or some cool armor or any hero, and then they added some more like really cool young heroes. By the way, I remember people complaining about the young heroes too. People opening up the packs and being like, what the hell, I got this Cavdane, I can't do anything with this in Classic Constructed. This guy's garbage. And people love Cavdane now. Well, some people love Cavdane now, or like Shiana, that kind of stuff. As a set, I always thought Crucible of War was a ton of fun to open. It's still a ton of fun to open, just because, like I said, it feels like a little treasure trove. You know, it's kind of like an extra, like a treasure chest. I don't want to say like a loot box, but it definitely feels like a supplementary set, right? You're just opening up and you just see a bunch of like random cards, and some of the cards are really good. Some of the cards are like new heroes, old heroes, foils of some cards that used to not be foil, like the harmonized Kadachi. You can get the cold foil version of the reverse harmonized Kadachi, which was really, really cool. I love the fact that there was so many new weapons, and then there was cold foil versions of all of these weapons. So instead of having cold foil like common equipment, you would have cold foil rare weapons, which is super sweet, because previously it was actually really hard to get cold foil weapons. They were only given out as promos. I also love the fact that they put the Fiendel Spring Tunic into Crucible of War, because at the time it was a very, very expensive and hotly sought after card. I mean, it still is, but you know, even back then it was. And you know, Legend Story Studios realized this, and they were like, you know what, we need to give this card more options. You know, we need to give this card more options to be pulled by people and just to put more in the marketplace. And you know, I think Unlimited has done that quite well, but I just love the fact that they put it in this set. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about Crucible of War and kind of how like the perceptions of the set has changed over time, especially now that the booster boxes are over $1,000. Can you imagine it, man? I bet the people complaining about their like 80 bucks boxes, just complaining about the pack size, couldn't imagine them being over $1,000 right now. I bet hardly anyone could have even like planned on that or even like predicted that. But it's just a really funny thing. It's one of those things where I look at it and I look at things that I personally like and I think are cool, and when they get popular and expensive, I just look at myself and I'm like, yeah, maybe I have good taste, you know, maybe I actually have good taste. And you know, some of the things back here are representative of that, you know, like Unstable or the Mystery Booster or Battle Bond. Remember, this is a Magic aside, but I remember when people hated Battle Bond when it first came out, and now the booster box is pretty hot. Battle Bond is one of my personal favorite Magic sets. I think when developers kind of step out of the norm and try to do something fun, you know, it's often met with backlash. People don't like change, but there's always going to be like a small contingent of people who just really like it and see, you know, the awesomeness for what it is. And I think that's kind of the situation here with Crucible of War. Not even, you know, including that the fact that there's so many really, really good cards in the set for the classes. And that's something I talked about in that Channel Fireball video that I recently made. I'm not sure if it's going to be coming out before or after this, but I talk about a lot of the key cards from the set. And there's just so many good cards. Like some classes made out like bandits. Some classes did not. Ranger, for one of them, didn't do so good, but like Warrior and Runeblade and Brute did really good in Crucible of War. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling now. Like I said, I just wanted to talk about Crucible of War and people's first, you know, initial opinions of it. And I think it's something good to discuss now that we have Monarch on the horizons, because we haven't had a new Flesh and Blood set in quite a while, and we're gonna have one very, very soon, and it's gonna be very interesting to see people's first opinions of Monarch, because you know, it's touted as doing a lot of really different stuff, and I'm very curious to see just how different the stuff that's going on in Monarch is, and if the community is going to immediately like latch to it, or if there's going to be some negative feedback. I hope not, man. I hope everyone just loves it, because I hope it's just going to be this amazing thing. I don't want to hype it up too much, but I'm incredibly stoked for Monarch. So I'm just going to leave it there for today's video. Really excited about Monarch. Let me know what your thoughts on Crucible of War, by the way. Thoughts now, and also thoughts when the set first came out, because some of those complaints are actually, you know, a little bit legit, right? And I'd like to know if any of y'all had those kind of complaints. I saw them mostly on Facebook and Reddit, and those are places where people just like to complain about a lot of stuff. So maybe that was just the nature of those sites. But anyway, that's today's video. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts, especially, you know, on Crucible of War, but maybe Monarch, man. Maybe let me know what you're really excited for about Monarch, and I will see you next time for some more card game content. Have a good one all, and I'll see you later.